in your own bodily chemistry. How many of you have studied the placebo effect? We have spoken of that, where you expect to get well, maybe even the curative power of a disease, and you take a pill that has nothing in it, but you're told it does. And the consciousness of your expectation then heals you. Nothing in the pill. So what took place? It was your engine of expectation that took care of it. Dear ones, the same thing happens, and we've said this before, when you expect bad things. Here they come. How many of you had a series of bad things? And when one bad thing happens, you'll say, well, what's next? Well, another bad thing. And you'll go, fine. What's next? What possibly could happen? Another bad thing. You have just set up a series of bad things. That's the engine. Did you know that? Did you even think of it? Or did you expect, well, you're just a victim of earth and bad things happen? That's your programming. That's your programming. What if instead you expect good things? But more than that, are you aware that consciousness changes your chemistry? What happens when you have the consciousness of fear? What happens when you have the consciousness of any kind of fear, of being afraid of anything, or the consciousness perhaps even of depression or anxiety? What happens? Chemistry changes. You know it does. Medical science knows it does. Who did that? Did your body do it by itself, or did your thinking engine do it? Your consciousness is the key to your chemistry. Addictions are consciousness. You have to have this, you have to have that, even though you may die from it. You know I'm right. You know what I'm saying. That's the engine that you have fueled with intent, truly with intent, to be addicted. That's how powerful it is. Now turn that around. What if your expectations would change the chemistry in your body to number one, live longer? You expect to live longer. How many of you know people who expect to die at a certain age, and they do, or expect that they will follow the parents and the examples and catch the same diseases, and it happens? Are you aware of what your conscious engine did? It cranked right through the expectations and delivered right on time. What if that could be turned around? The engine of consciousness is the healer of humanity. That's what keeps you healthy. That is number one, health personified. That's the number one pill, you might even say. That's the number one way to live longer. Imagine an engine that you have, that you possess, that's always been there, but you were programmed not to use it for anything except poor things, negativity. That's the engine of consciousness that makes you think you're a victim of the planet, that you'll never get ahead. That's the engine of consciousness. You think it, and it happens. Are you getting this? You think it, and it happens. What do you expect? Be careful. There are some of you who will say, well, I've always tried to get ahead, but I never got ahead. That's an interesting statement of consciousness. When did you put that in your engine? You put it in your engine, and it cranked right through it, and that's what you got. Are you aware of that? Just saying those words out to the field is your engine placing those thoughts right in front of you. That beautiful engine can change your chemistry. What have you got in your body you don't want? Is there anything in your body that is happening right now that might have to do with bodily chemistry? And the answer was, well, yes, all of it. All of it. Everything you might have that is wrong with you, whether it's headaches or whether it's a major disease, has to do with chemistry. Guess what engine is available that changes chemistry? That's the engine of consciousness. And you've got it. You have it. You have it already. Dear ones, I am telling you what I have told you for 30 years. You are in control, total control of what happens to you or what goes on in your body. You're in control of how fast you heal, how slow you heal. You're in control of so much more than you ever had any idea. Imagine, what better two things have I given you than this? Number one, your engine is controlling that what you expect, what happens to you next. And number two, your engine controls your health. It can cure you of disease because that's what it does. That's what it's for. Consciousness is energy, and it's spectacular. You are magnificent, and don't let anyone ever tell you you're not. This is the news of the day for you tonight, at this moment. I'm crying in love with you all. And so it is.
And following that beautiful message from Kryon, I invite you to bring those energies back with you as you bring your attention and awareness back into the room, back into your body. And if you've had your eyes closed, I invite you to open your eyes. And as we continue the program, we are going to meet the maestro of the music you heard earlier when Lee and I were saying the affirmations. It's a very dear friend of ours, Robert Coxon. And I want to just make sure Robert is on the Zoom feed with us. Robert, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Whoa, it's so good to have you with us this evening, Robert. It's just lifts my heart so much. I've known Robert for as long as I've known Lee, and Robert was the one that actually helped kind of connect Lee and I together as well. So
right.
That's a whole nother story.
That's a whole nother story.
It's not exactly a musical story, but...
We could do a program on that one.
All right, folks. Many of you may not be aware that Robert Coxon is the music of Kryon and has been for a couple of decades. He and I have been traveling together all over the planet for a very long time. So what could I say? How about this one? You ready? Dear Spirit, how did I get so fortunate that I was allowed to meet and be with such a spectacularly talented composer on my own stage? How could something so amazing happen for so long with my Kryon work? That's what I would say in a nutshell. Robert Coxon is a world-renowned musician, composer for albums and film and television. We all know him for his specialty of wonderful, meditative, healing music. I remember when I first heard his album, The Silent Path. That's the first one he sent me. And believe me, it touched my soul. It just did. And of course, Robert has many other albums filled with music that has healed so many individuals. He's also known as a creator of music that accompanies Kryon channels, but also the transformative music for Stargate. And that's our friend Brigitte Harris.
Now, something else you might not know is that Robert's beautiful partner, Lily Wong, together they do amazing work. And Lily was actually a guest on Healing Wednesday quite a few episodes ago now, but they also have their own work individually. So let me continue telling you about Robert. He studied at McGill University with a major focus on composing. His passion is also spirituality and our possible connection with other worlds. and other dimensions. Robert travels the world, performing and teaching. And when not touring, he writes music for film and media. He lives in the most amazing area north of Montreal, Canada. It's on top of the sacred Mount Gabriel.
Robert understands how sound relaxes the body and opens the consciousness. He became Canada's top New Age recording artist with the release originally of Crystal Silence. That was the album. Then later, Silent Path, and that's the one I know him for. And it topped international charts absolutely for years. Now, he's been nominated 4 times. Most people don't even know this, for the prestigious Felix Award, and that's Canada's Grammy. Whoa. Robert continues to perform all over the world at as many international concerts, very, very active. But before I bring him on, I want to tell you that after all this time, he's finally agreed to be part of our Kryon online experience. It's going to provide some very special music for us coming up soon called The Music of Kryon. And I'm going to have him talk a little more about that. Robert, welcome to our Healing Wednesday program.
Super great to be here and be with you. Thank you for inviting me, really.
There is so much we could talk about. I think it would be fun to do a program just of our experiences, first of all, because there's so much there, but not this one. I want people to see the profundity of what you do, and I know you're going to do a piece for us. But before we begin, I want just briefly, how did the universe actually prepare you to do all of this stuff?
That's interesting. Before I met you, quite a few years before I met you, my wife and I studied how to do channeling. And we took courses in that. And we did this as a business. She channeled like Edgar Cayce style of deep trance. And that's prepared me to understand what Kryon is all about. And also, a few years before we met, I was invited to be the music director at Unity, which is a metaphysical church. They're all over the world. And the minister there happened to be doing these very long channeled meditations. And I brought in my synthesizer, and there was already a piano there, and I was practicing channeling the music through. And actually, I'd say about 80% of the Silent Path was channeled there. And when I would get home after Sunday service or Wednesday night class, the good pieces I remembered, and I could put them in my computer and then start orchestrating them. And this is how Silent Path came about. But I was there channeling for half an hour, 45 minutes as he was bringing through these meditations. So this was a real training for me. So when we finally met, Lee phoned me once to see if he could be using the Silent Path in his channelings because they were recording them, and I said yes. But 4 months later, his publisher was holding an event. His French publisher is in Montreal and was holding this big event and invited Lee and also invited me to do a concert there. And we're setting up the first morning doing sound checks, etc. And Lee walks in and we meet for the first time. And it was like meeting your long-lost brother. It was amazing. And Lee said, we do this meditation at the beginning. Maybe you think you could do the music for it? I know you're not on the contract for that. And I said, yeah, sure, why not? And then he said, well, do you think you could play for the channel? And I said, no way. No, I didn't say that. I said, yeah, of course. And, it was like the hand fitting the glove. It just came together so perfectly. And we've been working together ever since.
So you,
I think we toured for 23 years.
Yeah, I'm probably going to hog the mic, so I'll let you ask him.
No, I was going to just let our audience know that Kryon, Lee, Robert, even Peggy Phoenix Dubrow, who began traveling with Lee and Robert, there is a family energy there. And even in Peggy's work, the EMF balancing technique, of which I became a practitioner, it was always Robert's music that I really see your music, Robert, as just the couch that you rest into, and it just soothes you so much, and it supports you. It supports Peggy, it supports Lee, it supports Prageet and Julianne with the Stargate music. It's like the energy of light and the soul. That's what you bring forward.
And we know that you're going to actually play some music. We can't have Robert Coxon on without giving you some music, folks. And he's going to give a special channeling for us, and I don't want to run out of time. So I'll just go right for it. This is a healing show, and I personally have witnessed spectacular instant healings in conferences just where Robert played. I mean, how do I feel about this? I'm channeling, I'm presenting, but the healings occurred during the music. But it was there. I'm going to let Robert tell you just at least one, maybe he's got two of his favorites, because they happen. This really is spectacular stuff.
Wow. It's overwhelming for me too when it happens. It's like, wow, I've been chosen for this music to come through. It is overwhelming. But I remember one time we were in Philadelphia, and I'm playing this mini concert, and I just finished playing Coming Home. And this guy jumps up and yells out, "I've been healed." And later his wife came and told me why it was so important that he was healed. He had ringing in the ears, constantly, but he was legally blind, so his hearing was so important for him. They bought the music and went home, and 6 months later, Lee Carroll went and did an at-home in the same town, and the man was there, and that sound had not come back. But a year after that, Lee went back, and his hearing had improved even more, but his sight started to come back. How amazing.
I can attest for that. I'm the one who told Robert. I remember when I could hardly wait to email you at that point in time. You said, "Guess what? This guy's sight is starting to return."
Yeah, it was like,
and,
whoa.
And the catalyst, you and I both know how healing works, but the catalyst of it was the silent path, and that was the music that you had given him. I know. So wow.
Yeah.
And there's another one.
Well, one that I really remember, this amazing thing happened in Japan. I was doing a concert, and it was a Kryon event, and I kept somehow focusing on some woman in the audience as I was playing. And at the end of the concert, my translator, Ron, Galietti, he came up to bring me to the back of the concert hall, or whatever the place was. And suddenly my guide said to me, "Have him translate this for the woman." So we came by the woman, and we stopped and said to her, it worked and everything's fine now. I didn't know what that meant. So we went to the back of the hall, and she came up from, as people were going out for the break. She looked at me, put her arms around me, put her head down, and started crying. And then she realized she had done a Japanese faux pas, where you have no personal contact in public and no emotions in public. She got all embarrassed. She wiped her tears and ran out of the room. The next day, the organizer, Ray Chandran, contacted me and said what happened. Apparently the woman had for, 10, 15 years, this giant black spot on her leg. The doctors didn't know what to do about it. They couldn't get rid of it. She went home that night, I guess, to shower, whatever. She realized the black spot had gone completely.
I love those stories because it shows you how, in both those cases, Robert, it happened effortlessly for both individuals to just receive the divinity that flows through the music, and it just touches the core of you. And many of you have been enjoying the green mist. It's the same. It is that music that swirls around you and permeates every cell of your body with the consciousness of divine love.
And I think the music actually works as a catalyst. It actually works just as the music with the vibration, but it works as a catalyst to help people open that door in their consciousness to say, yes, I'm ready to be healed.
I'm going to ask you, Robert, if it's all right, to start getting ready for a channeled piece that I'm going to have you do for us. And while you get ready, and I know you've got some buttons to press and all, I'm going to tell a little story. And my little story is quick, and I hope people understand it, but Robert channels this music. He's not going to play a piece off of one of his albums, just so you know. This is completely and totally custom for us, and I've watched him do it every single time I channel on the road. But the interesting thing is this, that quite often he uses one piece of music from his album that he plays at the end of my channel. So what I'm telling you is this, is that he'll completely and totally channel music, but when he senses the end of the channel is coming, he will play then the tune Silent Path. I would tell you, like 90% of the time, the channel ends when the music ends. Now what that means is that he had to know in advance when the channel was going to end from Kryon. Even I don't know that. And he had to, because the Silent Path is a piece of music which is timed. So all that to say is that I was constantly impressed with his intuition and his channeling when it came to the music. So Robert, I will turn it to you, and you go from here.
so beautiful, wasn't that, Lee? I was transported across the veil.
I don't know. I'm very biased, folks, but I just got a picture of this music. We've played this music for up to 3,000 people with the Kryon channeling, and I can just remember those big halls with all